She wakes up and looks around the house. After seeing around the house, she got angry, and she thinks to herself that she got reincarnated as a girl who is a daughter of a noble family, but her father married his stepsister, and she was born as their kid. After realizing it, she tries to get up, but she falls down, and she realizes her body is really weak. After a while, she finds out that this world has magic, but she doesn't know anything about magic, and also on how to cast them. Her mother used to curse her when she was a kid, but she was all alone since their dad went somewhere with another girl. But right when her dad returned, he came back with a new child, and as a result her mother died. Since she is now daughter of his stepsister, her dad despises her and always gives attention to his affair's child, which then made her to get confused, and she thinks to herself that's the reason she should stay positive. After that, she realizes there is something soft is floating in the air. She then started to blush after realizing those are magic particles. After a while, she gets out thinking that nobody came in to check on her when she is bedridden for a whole week, but she still gets happy since she now knows how magic feels like. And all of a sudden her dad comes, and he says that she is pathetic for pretending to be sick, and she should get to the dining table and eat food now. But after seeing him, she only got more angry, while her dad is saying if she don't go there, she will not get food. With an annoyed face, she says that he is calling someone who is unconscious for a whole week is faking it. His stupid cruelty is so astounding that made her to get impressed, but still he silently asks her if she didn't heard him say to go and sit in the dining table, to which she replies that she heard it very clearly, but this made him to get angry. But she still goes on by saying that she will eat her food in her room all alone since she will be more happy to do it in that way. In the end, he got angry and he tells to her that she has a wretched personality and also why did she even born? But then without backing up, she angrily says, so she is resembling his bloodline. As a result, he couldn't able to say anything. After that, she tells him to have a good day, and she leaves the place without saying anything, but inside, she was really happy by thinking it's her win. And while she is being happy, someone calls her big sister, and she wasn't happy to see that small girl. But that small girl was really happy. That small girl then invites her to eat the dinner with the family if she got better, and if she doesn't come to dinner, everyone will scold her. Just because she is not available for this whole week, everyone is scolding her for no reason. So they should eat together, to which she says no. As a result, she started to run away while saying she is going to complain that to her father. In the past, she used to get scolded for her sister mistakes. So after refusing her invitation, she feels good now, but because of that, they may not feed her for a while. So to avoid that, she decides to take action. So, as a result, she goes into the kitchen. The cooks were shocked to see her, while she is asking them that she has some request to make. After saying it, she started to think in this world there is no spices, and the seasoning is basically salt. In the end, few days passes, the cooks are shocked to see her cooking. Afterwards, the cooks also takes action on cooking, just like she said. She was shocked and excited to eat the food. All of a sudden, the cooks started to eat the food, which shocked her. After finishing it, they says sorry to her for eating her portion. She then goes on by thinking that they don't have a better alcohol too, and after hearing it, they bowed down and asks her to show them the way. As a result, they started to cook the food, and she started to have a lot of fun. After a while, she was shocked to hear that she isn't allowed in the kitchen anymore. That maid then goes on by saying that her food will be brought to her room, and every necessity she needs will be handled by her personal attendant. After hearing it, she starts to think whether if the cooks were kicked out because of her, or did they rat her out. In the end, that maid gives her food for today, and she leaves the place without saying anything. But this made her to get angry, while thinking that she doesn't have a single ally here. Afterwards, she takes out a scissor, and she started to cut her hair. In the end, she realizes her hair feels greasy and rough, so she decides to make soap after learning magic. And then 1 year passes by, and she already mastered many magic. She then decides to train in back of her estate, like she used to do all this time. And she realizes that she doesn't know what is the normal standards in this world. So she decides to ask to someone if she ever encounters while doing her training. She then started to wish if anything like a monster or an evil beast suddenly appears in front of her, so she have to defeat it, and she stops thinking it by saying, "Just kidding." Meanwhile, at the Adventures Guild, S-rank adventure gets in quest to kill an powerful monster. But that S-rank adventure didn't believe them by saying there is no way a power monster appears in this area, to which that receptionist tells him to trust him in this. He then goes on by explaining that a lot of people hearing a loud noise coming from the forest, sometimes they even experience earthquakes. After a while, that S-rank adventure goes into the forest, and he notices everything that moves. After using a magic detection, he realizes the forest is really quiet. Plus, there is no small monsters in sight, so which means there is a powerful monster is lurking by. After walking deeper into the woods, he was shocked to see her in the forest. But this shocked him, and he started to scan her body. Pale skin like a noble, yet dressed like a poor kid, also has a body built for a girl. Plus, he has a beautiful face. Afterwards, he questions her if she is human, and he goes on by thinking that thing looks so adorable, but the magic power that's coming out of it is abnormal. He then started to wonder if that thing is really human, and he asks her on what she is doing here, to which she replies that's her line, since this is their land, to which he just says that he is not with anyone while thinking. That thing understands their language. All of the sudden he got shocked after seeing her mana getting more thicker, which scared him. And then he thinks the mana around the area got more denser, and also the dangerous vibe he is getting right now feels like. Afterwards, he gets a flashback where everyone is scared of this S-rank guy, and he is all alone because of that. After remembering it, he comes to the conclusion that thing is human, but it just has been broken on inside, and then he started to wonder how to approach that thing. Meanwhile, she is thinking whether if a flag got triggered. And also for someone to show outside their mansion is really not good. She then realizes that guy is younger than her dad, and also he has white hair, which is not washed, plus he looks like a carefree traveler. But then she was shocked to see a sword in his hips. She then started to think if he is connected to his dad. If her dad finds out her training here, it will be bad. So she gets ready to kill him. But then before killing him, she got shocked to see his face. And she thinks to herself on why he is making that sad face when he is looking at her. All of the sudden, he tells her to calm down, and he introduces himself as his name is Sword and also an adventure. And so he came here to do a survey in this forest as a job. In the end, he asks her to say if she is a human. After hearing it, she started to think for a while. She then started to cry, while thinking that he didn't even consider her as a human. And she started to crash out to him by saying on what part of her looks like a non-human. He then goes on by asking her if she knows anything about the earthquake and sound that comes from this forest. After hearing it, she started to think she may know the truth about those culprit, because she is the one that made those things happen while doing training. She then started to think there is no way that made that much of noise, since the people in the mansion didn't say a thing. After thinking about it, she realizes she haven't seen anyone inside the mansion for a while. After realizing it, she was shocked, and he goes on by telling to her that he will be back, and she should inform him if anything bad happens. But this just irritates her, because he said he will come back, and all of the sudden he pats her head, which shocked her. He then says, "See you later," and leaves the place. In the end, she started to think, even though she was lost in the thoughts, she can't believe he was able to close his distance, and also nobody has ever touched her like that. After some days later, he comes back, and this time she was standing really far from him, which confused him. He then realizes that thing isn't emitting a bad magic power, like before. He then goes on by thinking that someone who doesn't get along with the adults will end up alone like him. All of the sudden, he realizes that she is now standing in front of him. After seeing it, he gets a flashback where he was about to leave after patting her head. He was shocked to see her face getting flustered by happy feelings. As a result, he pats her head again. He then asks to her if she saw any monster around here, to which she says she didn't. He says if she is living in here, to which she says she only comes here in the morning. So if she is coming here daily, she should know about the earthquake and loud noise, to which she says it's because of the landslides and rocks that break. He then believed it. And she started to think that he doesn't understand anything, and he decides to leave by thinking he will come back few days later, but right after saying he came back day after day after day. Afterwards, he thinks to himself, for some reason, he is coming to see this thing more than he expected. After thinking about it, he takes his hands and starts to pat her, and she started to blush. He then thinks to himself, if he were a thug, he would have sold her by kidnapping. But she was sitting there silently, and then she thinks for some reason that old guy keeps showing up, and also being on guard is annoying, so she decided to not be on guard. And not because she likes being patted in the head. And then while eating the food she thinks she can just kill him if things gets out of hands. All of the sudden, he asks her to be on guard or be cautious on him, and she shouldn't accept things from a stranger since it might have poison in it. To which she just replies, is it real? He then goes on by saying there are people that is earning good money by selling people by kidnapping them. To which she just asks to him, then what are the other jobs? To which he started to explain that there are cooks, apothecary, but while he was saying it, she was shocked to see the bright sun. But then he says there are adventures, and it's the best since there is nobody there to boss you around. After hearing that word, she says adventures, to which he happily asks her if she is planning to become an adventurer. With a serious face, she says she is planning to become one. After seeing her determined expression, he got serious. He then asks her on where is she from. But then before saying her real name, she suddenly stops and tells to him that she is affiliated with this forest, to which he goes on by asking her to tell her name is she is affiliated with the forest, and after thinking for a while, she tells her name as Indra. Afterwards, he was shocked to hear that place was owned by a noble. He then goes on by asking to the receptionist on why he didn't told it to him sooner, since if he were to get caught, no one will say anything if he were to get killed. To which that receptionist says he didn't had any choice. Because of the rumbling, they thought there is a dragon living. So they thought it will be an easy fix if they send a S-rank guy like him. After saying the truth, he was shocked. Meanwhile, Sword is angry. After hearing it, he then thinks he also thought there is something big, but he couldn't able to find anything except a kid. After remembering it, he asks to the receptionist if he knows about a kid named Indra. But hearing that name, he got shocked. But this made him to get angry, to which that guy says how could he call her a kid, since she is a owner of that land. Plus she is their first daughter. After a while he comes back thinking that there is no way this thing is a noble, and then he asks it to be more careful and cautious about strangers, to which she says that she is being cautious and knows how to cook, plus some martial arts. After hearing that name, he got curious, and he goes on by getting up and asks her to show him on what she got, since training only by herself might be boring. So he will face her with a wooden stick as an handicap, and he goes on by telling her to use her wooden sword. Before getting ready, she thinks if he wants to do a game of pretending to do a sword fight. Afterwards, she decides to test how strong she had become, and then he starts the match, but to his surprise she is already in front of him, which he blocks using his sword, and he started to think that thing went straight for his waist. He then realizes that he has underestimated it, since it has a mana pouring out of it, plus it has a speed that amazes a S-rank too. After realizing it, he comes to the conclusion that this thing is not a normal noble lady, but when he was thinking about it, he realizes that thing is giving out too much of mana. As a reflex, he quickly attacks her while using his magic body enchantment, which launched her in the air, but then she comes back with a quick kick. As a result, he couldn't able to dodge it and gets hit in the hand, and this shocked him since his hand might have fractured. But without giving anything about him, she comes in to attack him, which shocked him, and he tells to her that he gives up, which shocked her, but he was thinking if that thing will stop, or he will die here, but she stopped. After seeing it, he decides to drink an healing potion just in case. Afterwards, he was scared to get near her, while thinking what is going to happen now. But to his surprise, she asks him if she got what it takes to become an adventurer, or if it's impossible for her to become one, but this shocked him. He then goes on by letting out a huge sign and points his finger on her, and he tells to her that she is ridiculously overpowered, to which she asks him if he is going to shout at her for that reason. But then, without stopping, he shouts more by saying no matter how many times she says nobody watched her while training, or there is nobody there to teach her, there is a limit on how much someone can train, and no matter how he looks at her, she already surpassed adults in many things. After hearing it, she started to think for a while, and she says that she did had a feeling that something was off. Afterwards, he says that he will ask it one more time, is she really a human, or what? After hearing it, she gets a memory of her dad and mother. As a result, she says the women that gave birth to her might be a human, but that dad thing might not be considered as inhuman. After hearing it, Sword says that he gets it, which is she is ridiculously strong, but she doesn't have a common sense, which made her to pout while saying that she will be fine without talking to anyone after becoming an adventurer, to which he says, thinking that adventurers don't need to interact is itself says that she doesn't have a common sense, which made her to get defeated. After hearing it, he picks her up saying that he will train her to be an adventurer. Plus it looks like he found himself a good sparring partner, which shocked her. And she goes on by saying that she thought he was a shady guy, but it turns out he was a good guy, so she is glad that she didn't kill him. After training for a while, she told him thanks for it, and as a gratitude, she will cook food for him. As a result, he bought ingredients at the next day. After walking for a while, he realizes the time is running pretty fast for some reason, and all of a sudden, he heard water noise coming from somewhere, and to his surprise, she was taking a bath. But he was more shocked to see it raining in one place. Plus the water below her is streaming like a hot water. He then suddenly realizes something, which was that thing didn't had that thing, and he was shocked to realize the fact that she was a woman all this time. But this shocked her too, and she tells to him that she obviously looks like a girl, and also what part of her looks like a boy. After hearing it, he thinks to himself that she has a pale skin with a big round eyes and a dedicated narrow face. He then asks to her if she really that girl named Indra, who is a first daughter of the noble, to which she shouts back, saying that's right after that he asks her on why she is having a short haircut, even though she is a noble, since he never seen a girl with that type of haircut, but she was hearing everything silently. But then he suddenly gets shocked and asks to her if someone forcefully cut her hair like this. She then says that she cut it by herself, and she goes on by saying that she is the first daughter of the noble, but he hates her. So, as a result, she doesn't even have a single attendance. Plus, he hates spending money on her, because of she only got those poor clothes over there. So to do hair cuts, she does it by herself. After saying it, she realizes that he mistook her as a boy because of her short haircut, and while she was saying it, he throws a towel on her, which she looks at him. He then tells to her maybe the kid vibe might be because of the haircut, to which she says yep, but he didn't even look at her. Afterwards, he was shocked since it's abnormal to rain in the middle of nowhere, and he goes on by asking her it's weird to rain hot water in the middle of the nowhere, to which she says that she is the ones that's making it to rain, then why is it weird? Which shocked him, and he asks to her if she can also use magic, to which she tells to him she self-thought it to herself, and not by anyone. Plus she went through every single book, but there were no books saying how one can cast magic. So after a many trial and error, she learned it, but it's really hard. But this shocked him, and he goes on by asking to her if she is really human, to which she tells to him it's his fourth time calling her if she is a human or not. After hearing it, he realizes it, and then he apologizes for his rudeness. In the end, she puts back her dress and comes in by telling sorry for waiting to him. He then tells to her that he bought everything she asked him to bring. After hearing it, she tells him to bring them over here, but he was shocked, since there is a ready-made stove was there. He then asks her that he didn't saw it yesterday, to which she replies she was working on this built just a moments before, but she got dirty. Because of that, she took a bath. After hearing it, he started to laugh by telling to her that he will be judging the tastes, but to his surprise, she cooked him a 10-star meal. After eating it, his mind was completely blank while saying he was expecting it, and she even asks him if he wants more. Afterwards, he started to analyze, since she is using fire easily, which is by without casting an incantation. But then he suddenly got surprised to see the alcohol, and she tells to him it's an alcohol. He then goes on by telling her to not waste it in a cooking, and he asks her to give to him because he wants to drink it, which made her to think he is an hopeless adult. Afterwards, she started to push him away while saying it only for cooking. In the end, she tells him the truth, that she homemade this liquor. But after hearing it, he was more shocked, since to make alcohol they needs license, and the methods to make it is kept as a secret. While being shocked, he asks her if she knows how to cook alcohol. After hearing it, she looks at him and says she have a knowledge because she did try doing it with a lot of times with a lot of trial and error. So after saying it, she explains to him to make the food more good and give its full taste, they needs this homemade alcohol. But ignoring her words, he asks her to give more alcohol, which made her to get annoyed, and she thinks what's with this old man. Afterwards, he started to beg her to give him some. As a result, she gives him a glass of it. After drinking it, he goes into a inebriated state. Afterwards, he calls her and says he might look like this, but he is still an adult. So as for ingratitude, he will do something where a normal kid can't buy, which is he will buy her the adventure's gears. After hearing it, she decides to trade alcohol as a win-win situation. He then asks her if she is really sure that she doesn't want to become a chef, since her talent is much needed, plus she can make a lot money by selling alcohol, which made her to get irritated, and she tells to him that she is just a girl who doesn't even know a common sense. After thinking about it, he remembers her parents, and she says there isn't a lot of good people like him in this world, which shocked him. But she goes on by saying that she will consider doing it if she became an adult, and all of the sudden, he asks her to sell her alcohol to him, to which she says she can't give it to him since it's being made by their kitchen staffs. But after hearing it, he insisted her to introduce him to them, to which she tells him to cut it out since it will only get her into trouble. In the end, she accepts the deal, and she tells him to wait for a year since it will mature more and tastes more, and also the ones he drank earlier wasn't been matured, so it's okay to cooking, which made him to get angry and tells her to sell those to him now, and in a year from now, she should sell him those good alcohol. He then goes on by saying okay, and he says he will now go home for now. He then says he will give her that magic bag, which works as a storage, plus she can also have this clock, which is in thanks for the alcohol she gave him earlier. After receiving it, she looks at it silently. She then gets really happy. Afterwards, she calls his name and says even though he looks like a smelly old man, he is still a good person, which attacked him personally. After a while, she got hit by him, but she just tells to him she is not to be the blame just because a lot of sound and earthquake happens, to which he replies that's what they call being the cause. Afterwards, they started to train. Sword then gets in and parries her sword. He then goes on by using his hands and flipping her head. As a result, she lost. She then started to think Sword is actually strong when he is not letting his guard down, which made her to get angry because he is reading her attack like he got mind reading or something. Suddenly, she stops cursing and she realizes that he is training with her for this past few years. As a result, she now fell in love with him. Afterwards, the S-rank guy explains to her about magic, which is the mana she has within her is called energy. However, the mana capabilities varies from individual to individual, which can be used by chanting spells. But for her, it's entirely different, since she can use the magic power in the air, which are the fluffy light she is seeing on the air. After hearing it, she replies, so that's why nothing is happening whenever she tried chanting magic. But then he suddenly asks to her if the alcohol is ready, which made her to get disgusted, and she went silent. Meanwhile, he is waiting for the answer with a grin on his face, so she decides to take it since it's almost been a year after they have put it in the fertilizer. She then goes on by saying that she will take it from her mansion. After realizing that he is following her, she gets angry while telling him to stop following him. And then she tells to him that he is just coming with her to win over the chefs and drink the alcohol straight from the source, to which he replies that he just wants to drink some beer and that's all. In the end, she gives up and she says screw it, they are going all in, while he is acting to be silly. Afterwards, they gets inside the kitchen and he chef recognized the S-class adventure. They then goes on by telling to them that the alcohol has been made successfully. After a while, both of them looks out from the back door of the mansion, but she was pissed out because it's an hassle just to get out of the house because of him, to which he just says that they at least got the alcohol without any trouble. She then agrees to it. After that, she hands him the alcohol as promised. She then goes on by saying that she does owe him a bottle because he did many things to her from the start. But then he says thanks to her and also he will bring her the equipments she needs for adventuring. Afterwards, he goes in to grab the alcohol bottle, but suddenly he stops and he goes on by grabbing her head, which shocked her, and suddenly he asks her to come with him, since she is planning to leave the castle anyway, so she should come with him. And if she comes with him, he will teach her the basis to become an adventurer. To which she suddenly says that she is just 7 years old right now, so it's 3 years earlier than she planned to leave, and said it while blushing. To which he says that plans always comes with unexpected turns. After saying it, he quickly invites her to come with him, to which she quickly slaps his hand while saying she can't just leave right now itself. So even though she is basically freeloading, she still needs some stuff to do before leaving. All of a sudden, he says that he will go and collect the stuffs that she will be needing to be an adventurer. And after hearing it, she suddenly smiles, and she tells him to wait in the usual spot. Afterwards, at the next day, she tells to the cooks that they don't need to make any more alcohol, since she is going to leave this mansion. But then they suddenly removes their cap, and they goes on by bowing down, while saying that they are grateful for her blessings she gave them using their wisdom. After seeing, she got a little sad. So as a result, she tells to them that they can create more alcohol if they want, but with one condition, which is they have to keep it secret on how to make it. And also, like sword, they can drink it right away without waiting for it to get tasty after a year. But this made them to smile. After seeing it, she was shocked since they didn't get offended by that insult. To which one of the cook says that Sword had already spoken with them earlier, which was he will be taking their lady with him. After hearing it, she was shocked, and she goes on by thinking that he wasn't as careless as she thought, but rather he was planning everything. Afterwards, the chefs calls her, and they once again tells to her that they hope that she will live her life happily. And before she leaves, they once again tells her to live happily. Afterwards, while walking in the corridor, she thinks to herself that this world is not full of people like Sword. All of a sudden, she notices the butler standing outside the door, so she goes on by calling him, and after seeing her, he was shocked. After that, she demands him to tell her on where her dad is right now, because she wants to say final goodbye to him before leaving the house. After hearing it, the butler tells to her father that Indra wants to meet him and tell her final goodbye to him, which confused him. And then she walks inside the room with a different tone, while telling to him on how he is. She then goes on by saying that she came here to collect something that's hers, to which he was shocked and scared. And he asks to her on what's with her hair. So does this mean she was a boy all along? But this made her to get angry. and she goes on by telling to him that her hair doesn't matter anymore. She then asks him to give her the money, and once he gives her the money, she will officially leave the house, which will be a great news for them, right? To which he just tells her to not be ridiculous, and all of a sudden she asks him to give her the child support, which is he should give her from the start. It's because he is her father. But then he suddenly gets really angry. But to his surprise, the butler offers her the money, and he goes on by telling to him that this money right here is the rightful option that she should receive. After hearing it, he gets angry, to which that butler replies with that Indra could no longer withstand their mistreatment towards her. Because of that, she became mentally and physically weakened. In the end, she collapsed. However, for some reason, she made a full backup, and she decided to leave this place with her own will. So right now, the only thing he should do is giving her a good farewell. But this caught him off guard, so he suddenly kicks out the jewelry and the money out of her hands, and then she quickly hits him back. As a result, he got knocked out. Meanwhile, the butler is giving her the money she should have got. But then suddenly her sister comes in, and she asks to her if she is truly leaving. So if that's the case, then who is going to get blamed for the things that she done? To which she replies, if her father, and she leaves this mansion, then she might reconsider it. After hearing it, she thinks for a while, and she shouts at her by telling her to get out of the house. In the end, she started to run, and all of a sudden she gets a flashback of her father always talking to her, plus her stepmother is always scolding her. And after remembering everything, she once again gets sad, and all of a sudden she remembers the face of that S-rank guy, which made her to smile while blushing. But to her surprise, he was standing in front of her by saying that she came here sooner than he expected. To which she says that she finished everything she wanted to do in the mansion, and also the head maid gave her some presents on the way back here. So she should now get going with a full of energy, to which he calls her and gives her something. Afterwards, she removes her clothes, and he asks to her if she is ready or not, to which she uses magic to burn her old clothes while saying that she is ready. In the end, both of them gets ready to leave the place, and she even got a new dress for her to wear. And then he suddenly gives her his hands while asking her to not let go of his hands again, to which she holds his hands back, while saying that she may be a little girl, but she still received an education to be a lady. And then she goes on by getting angry for why there is a lesson to hold hands to become a lady, to which he smiles while saying that she is not actually a refined lady. He pats her head while telling to her that they should get going, since the sun is going to set. As a result, both of them sets a journey inside the forest that they haven't been to. After a month of wandering, pushing through paths that barely exist, and climbing harsh mountains like training, Indra finally looks ahead with wide eyes and excitement, saying at last they have reached a place where people actually live, while Sword stands behind her, calm but watchful. As they pause, Indra casually talks about how they have just been wandering rather than chasing any real goal, even joking that they could keep living in the mountains like this. Sword reminds her, despite being away from any village for weeks, they somehow still look clean. Indra proudly says she made sure they stayed that way, treating dirt like the enemy. She then goes on by saying that smelly old men are hated. Hearing it, he got stunned and goes on by looking at her. Indra simply stares up at him silently. Sword suddenly chokes Indra and starts scolding her, calling her as uncute as ever. She fights back angrily, shouting that a lady should not be treated like that, and calling him awful. She argues that he is the real old man. As they reach the gate, a guard stops them and asks for their adventurer cards. Sword calmly shows his, and explains that Indra is with him, and that he will vouch for her identity, since they plan to register her at the guild. This catches the guard off guard as he reacts in surprise. The guards are shocked, but still let them proceed. Sword walks forward with Indra beside him, and explains the current customs. He says most towns have checkpoints for security where they ask who you are, why you came, and when you plan to leave. He compares it to something like a driver's license, and adds that the adventurer card he showed works as proof of identity, and usually gets them through easily. They continue moving deeper into the town. Indra enters the town and excitedly says this is S. Amazed by the people and surroundings, she looks around at everything, distracted. While Sword warns her she will get lost if she wanders, Indra says she will just go to the guild if she gets lost. This shocks Sword, and he says that she doesn't have a single childishness on her. They arrive at the Adventurers Guild. At the guild, the staff explains the basics, where to apply, how requests work, and that adventurers gather information there. They direct them to fill out the form first. Indra asks what the ink is for, because it feels different. The staff replies and warns her to fill it carefully, using special ink to prevent forgery. After finishing, Indra receives her adventurer card and looks at it in confusion. Indra says the card looks different and cheap. Sword tells her it is normal for a beginner card. After hearing their conversation, other people start gossiping that she is an ignorant child for not knowing something so simple, and that she is just a sheltered child. Indra gets annoyed and says that if she does not understand something obvious, it is his job to explain it properly. Sword sighs and explains that her card is normal, while his is a special one. Indra, teary-eyed and shaken, accuses him of committing a crime because of it. Sword angrily shouts back that he did not do it, and once again chokes her. She immediately says she was just kidding. She then complains that he is always grabbing her and possibly scratching her soft, flawless skin. She adds that she is still just a 7-year-old girl and reminds him that he is the one who said he would teach her all this. Hearing this, he suddenly remembers the truth and slowly puts her down. Realizing that she is just 7 years old, Sword stops and tells Indra that this is where they part ways. As they stand facing each other, he shows his adventurer card and says he may not look it, but he is kind of a big deal compared to a freshly registered rookie like her. The difference is like heaven and earth. He says he cannot keep babysitting her. Indra looks at him silently and responds with a confused, "Huh." Sword tells her there are plenty of adventurers here, and that she should find companions who suit her and form her own party. He says she should take on quests together with them, and at least reach C rank. Then he tells her that until then, she should not show her face to him. Sword thinks that Indra has an oddly world-weary way about her, and that she has enough talent to be called a genius. But she is still only 7 years old. He thinks he does not want her to walk the same path he did. He wants her to find comrades she can truly trust, make friends her own age instead of just adults, and gain all kinds of experiences as an adventurer. He continues thinking that he does not care, even if she ends up hating him. Meanwhile, Indra stares at him as if she has been betrayed, and in the end her eyes turn lifeless. Sword looks down at Indra with a serious face as she stands in front of him. Then Indra suddenly tilts her head back and bursts into loud laughter. Her expression turns intense and unhinged, her eyes wide and her smile distorted. She reveals a twisted belief that no one in the world can truly be trusted. After that, she turns and starts walking away, leaving Sword behind. Sword pauses and reacts quietly. He lowers his head and covers his face, realizing that beyond being hated, there is also being looked down on with contempt. Meanwhile, Indra continues walking ahead. Her thoughts repeat in her mind as she tells herself that she already knew how people are. Memories surface of her younger self. Alone, she reflects that this truth is deeply burned into her, that people do not care about others, and if there is nothing in it for them, they will not even act. She grips her hat tightly with both hands, her head lowered and her eyes hidden in shadow. As she quietly realizes her mistake, she stands still while the weight of it settles in. Then her expression suddenly changes. She brightens, with a wide smile and a visible blush on her cheeks. She approaches a woman at the counter, calling out cheerfully and asking to be taught something. The woman, also blushing, covers her mouth in surprise before happily agreeing. Indra reacts with excitement. The receptionist explains the rank system, using tiers from G to A. She says that as achievements increase, rank rises, and tougher quests become available. Indra, currently at G rank, confirms that she cannot take higher level requests. The receptionist adds that non-guild jobs are dangerous and do not count much toward rank, though the guild can still appraise or buy items. Indra looks at a paper and realizes that standing quests have no time limit at G rank. The tasks are simple, such as gathering herbs, cleaning, and trash collection. The receptionist confirms that she can take her time or finish quickly, but warns that the herbs must be fresh or the quest will fail. She suggests it is easier to gather a lot at once, and mentions that working with others can help. Smiling brightly, Indra smiles back with her eyes closed, then immediately refuses. The receptionist is caught off guard, confused and hesitant. Indra, with a wide unsettling smile and intense eyes, firmly states that she does not trust anyone and will never team up. She then turns away with a serious expression as the receptionist watches her, unsure how to respond. Indra narrows her eyes with suspicion, concluding that it is just shady recruitment targeting newbies. Outside near a field, Indra crouches and examines a herb in her hand, calmly identifying it. She then notices a large patch nearby that is bigger than expected. She mentions that transporting them will not be an issue because of her magic bag. A small dark presence begins to form near her finger as she smiles. She raises her hand and unleashes a force that blasts through the entire patch, uprooting everything at once. Then she confidently smiles with her eyes closed, saying she can do everything by herself, and that with this amount she can rank up quickly. After a moment, she pauses. Indra looks at the herbs in her hand and realizes her method failed. Too many weeds got mixed in, and cutting everything ruined the freshness faster than expected, making sorting take too long. Instead of getting discouraged, she tells herself that she finally became an adventurer and can do anything. She decides to improve step by step as she kneels there quietly. She admits to herself that there is nothing left of that old sorrow anymore. Back at the guild, the bearded man snaps at Sword, frustrated at how bluntly he spoke earlier. Sword sighs, annoyed but acknowledging it. The receptionist admits that she also messed up. The man points out that it was all about how Sword phrased things. Sword admits that he rushed it too much. The man continues, saying that since Sword lives like a loner, he does not even understand how friendships work. Sword argues that friendships should happen naturally, and that forcing something like, help her make friends, is out of character. The man asks where the girl went, and learns that she already accepted a gathering quest and left. Sword then adds, slightly panicked, that sometimes pushing someone down helps them grow, but the man counters that it did not feel like pushing her forward. It felt like they completely wrote her off. The guild members explained that after being dismissed like that, Indra did not try to approach anyone else. Even though a few parties showed interest, she did not give them a chance. The bearded man angrily calls out how careless Sword's words were. He points out that being suddenly abandoned like that would make anyone shut down. He warns that if she were more fragile, it could have pushed her to a breaking point. Sword stays silent, clearly affected. As Sword heads out, someone calls after him, asking if Indra will really be okay going out alone, especially with night approaching and the city gates closing soon. Despite their attempt to stop her, she had already left, leaving Sword with a growing sense of unease. The guard explains that Indra planned to return only the next day and had gone to gather herbs. She may have gone far enough to even camp in the forest, which makes the situation more dangerous. As Sword processes this, Indra's earlier words echo in Sword's mind, her fear of people running deeper than expected. The guards explain that they could not legally stop her once she showed her adventurer card. Even though they knew the forest was dangerous, they say it is filled with monsters that could easily overwhelm someone alone, making Sword realize that the situation could turn serious very quickly. As Sword moves through the forest, he assesses the danger. He notes that monsters in this area reach around B rank threat level, especially if Indra is alone and asleep. Suddenly, he senses a massive surge of mana nearby, immediately putting him on edge. Following that presence, Sword finds Indra fast asleep under a tree, completely unguarded. She is peacefully snoring despite the danger around her, with her belongings scattered casually beside her. He stares at Indra, completely baffled and disappointed. wondering how she is still alive when she is casually sleeping out in the open without even a basic barrier spell. Frustration builds in him. Yet despite saying he would not help, he cannot bring himself to leave her like this. Letting out a reluctant sigh, Sword gives in and decides to stay and watch over her. He grumbles that he will not save her if something actually happens, even though his actions already contradict his words. Sitting nearby and keeping guard, he quietly reflects on her earlier statement. You cannot trust people. As he watches her sleep, Sword recalls what he has heard about her past. Despite being the rightful daughter, she was pushed aside in favor of Lady Primrose, the illegitimate child, leaving Indra in a painful and unjust position from a young age. While such stories are common among nobles, seeing her now makes it feel far more real. He begins to understand that her distrust is not baseless. Sword recalls Indra's words, how she bluntly called him a shabby old man, yet still admitted he was a good person, a strange mix of honesty and innocence. Then her cold statement follows, that you cannot trust anyone in this world. It hits him harder now, and he realizes that, for someone her age to think like that, it must have come from something deeply painful. This makes him regret not explaining things to her properly earlier. By morning, he is completely exhausted, muttering that he did not get a wink of sleep, yet nothing happened. Not a single monster appeared. This almost feels worse to him, because it proves how unnecessarily tense he was, while Indra remains carefree and unaware of everything he worried about. As the days go by, a small montage shows Indra continuing her routine, gathering herbs, completing requests, and steadily working on her own. Sword quietly observes the passing time. 1 day, 2 days, 3, 4. He realizes that she has been managing everything alone this whole time without relying on anyone. This proves both her determination and just how isolated she truly is. At one point, even the receptionist is shocked to see Sword watching over her. While sitting on the ceiling, back at the guild, people casually tease Indra, asking about her progress, and even mocking her for losing an S-rank partner. She stands there quietly, ignoring everything. It is revealed that since then she has been living out in the forest, only returning to town to complete requests. She has completely shut herself off from others. Sword watches from a distance. Sword has someone else speak on his behalf. They explain that he only acted out of concern, and that he genuinely regrets how things turned out. Even then, Indra does not respond the way anyone expected. She simply turns toward him without any strong emotion. Then, with a completely straight face, she says she already forgave him. Not because she understood or accepted anything, but because she does not even remember what she was supposed to be upset about in the first place. She casually brushes it off, before asking who he even was again. She reduces him to just that self-proclaimed important person. The truth is finally thrown right in Sword's face. He is bluntly called out for everything he did wrong, dragging a sheltered noble girl into a harsh world, and then abandoning her with careless words, all while thinking it was just a lesson. That guy then shouts at Sword by saying that Sword always manages to say things that goes past way into normal words, which is why he is a loner and nobody loves him. Sword stands there frozen, repeating them in his mind, hated, insensitive, hopeless. He looks ahead and sees Indra standing alone in the forest, facing a massive beast charging straight toward her. In that moment, all thoughts disappear, replaced by one terrifying realization. Indra is in mortal danger. Sword recognizes the monster as AB rank giant wolf and hesitates. Thinking about stepping in, Indra calmly faces it and warns that she will not attack unless it does first. The wolf lunges at her, and Indra draws her blade to meet it head-on. In a single strike, she slices off its head. Sword watches in shock. The wolf is instantly cut down, its body split apart as Indra stands there calmly. She crouches beside it, thinking she could sell it, and decides to drain the blood first. Sword notes that it was an instant kill. Meanwhile, Indra complains that her magic bag is too small. Later, she brings the monster in and says she hunted it and wants to sell it. The receptionist looks surprised. People react in shock that she took down a giant wolf alone. Recognizing her as the herb-gathering kid, she is handed the reward and says thank you, but suddenly, someone steps in and demands that she hand over the money. The man leans in close and accuses Indra of stealing the prey he hunted. He says no one would believe a G rank like her could defeat a high-rank monster. He demands that she hand over the cash while calling her a cute little thief. Others nearby watch casually. Sword suddenly feels a killing intent. The man mocks her, asking what kind of soft life she lived and if her parents never taught her how to use a knife. He laughs and says that swinging a wooden stick cannot make a clean cut. Indra's expression turns sharp and serious. She says that if she cuts off his head and compares it to the monster she sold, it would prove it was her. But Sword instantly intercepts, blocking the strike and stepping in front of Indra, stopping the attack mid-motion. Even after that, Indra does not stop her attack and continues pressing forward. Sword tries to call her name, but is shocked when he sees a strange symbol in her eyes. Seeing it, he is startled and immediately casts body enchantments multiple times in an instant. Even so, the two of them match each other evenly in their attacks. Sword thinks that once he reads her movements, her attacks are easy to predict. During training, as long as he stayed alert, he could handle it, but he realizes that was only because neither of them had been fighting seriously. Indra lunges forward mid-air with a sharp strike. Sword blocks and strains, his face tense with sweat. He thinks that right now she is seriously trying to kill him. He realizes that she ended up like this because of him. Determined, he resolves to go all out against her. Indra continues her attack as someone suddenly shouts, "Hey, you too!" The voice comes from Sangha, who warns that they will be fined if they do not follow the guild rules and continue fighting. Hearing this, Indra says that the other man is the one who should be fined, since all she wanted was to prove that she was the one who hunted the monster. In the end, Sangha says she is not at fault, but Sword is in trouble for throwing the man and damaging guild property. Hearing that it does not concern her, Indra says she will take her leave. She then turns and leaves the guild. Afterward, Sangha asks Sword if he was actually being pushed back. Sword replies that it is somewhat true, saying that only in speed does he surpass her. In terms of strength, she is evenly matched with him. As for magic, she can cast spells without chanting. Hearing this, Sangha is shocked and asks if Sword really cut ties with someone like her. He tells Sword to at least keep her under control, warning that she will be extremely dangerous, especially if even an S rank like Sword has trouble stopping her. In the end, Sword accepts it, saying he has nothing to say in return. Afterward, a guard asks Indra if she is going out to gather herbs again. She replies with lifeless eyes that she has decided to leave the town. The guard says that is how most adventurers live and tells her to be careful, warning that since she is cute, she might become a target. He then dismisses the concern, noting that she is already strong enough to kill a giant wolf. Indra asks for a recommendation for the next town. The guard suggests a place. After hearing it, Indra starts walking in the opposite direction. When the guard points it out, she turns toward him and says that is exactly why she is going the other way, choosing to do the opposite of what people in town recommend. She then continues walking. Suddenly, something grabs her legs. It is magic. She realizes it can be broken easily, but before she can break it, someone jumps on her. It is Sword, and he tearfully begs her to forgive him, which leaves Indra both scared and disappointed. A grown man clings to Indra's leg, crying loudly with tears as he shouts, "It is my fault. Please forgive me." After a moment, she starts to tremble and suddenly slaps him across the face. They both look at each other. He looks at her like a scolded puppy. He begins crying again, saying she is terrible for being mean, even though he is apologizing. Indra calls him gross and tells him to stay away from her, but he continues holding on to her, saying he will let her go if she forgives him. She replies that it sounds more like a threat than an apology. In the end, she asks what exactly she is supposed to forgive him for. After hearing that, he becomes serious and says he will explain everything. He says that he did not betray her, He explains that there is a big gap between them in adventurer rank, so he does not have much he can properly teach her. He adds that he never intended to abandon her, since she is a clueless beginner. He was unsure if his style of teaching would suit her. He then explains his plan. He says the guildmaster is easygoing and helped make things easier for her. He wanted her to team up with people of a similar rank and learn what being an adventurer is like. He adds that being around only adults would make her act cocky and that she could make friends her own age. His plan was to bring her to the town, split temporarily, and have her form a party with girls of a similar level. She would gain experience and complete requests. Then they would reunite and form a team again. She reacts, questioning if this is how things were supposed to go. She then points out that he was the one who said that friendships should happen naturally and not be forced just because someone is a loner. Hearing that, he is shocked, and she tearfully tells him not to call himself a loner. Afterward, she asks why he did not explain the plan to her beforehand. She says that as things stand now, it feels like he took a noble girl out and then left her completely on her own. He apologizes to Indra. They stand facing each other, while she adjusts her hat and looks annoyed with a small drop of sweat. She questions again why he did not explain it earlier if he was really looking out for her. He reacts silently. Then he suddenly crouches down, shaking. She looks at him and asks what is wrong. He suddenly shouts that he panicked at that time, catching her off guard. She then says that she actually liked him, so she does not understand why she should stay in some low-level party for no reason. He replies that he thought that was best after hearing Senga's advice. In the end, he suddenly climbs up and hugs her, saying he will take care of her himself. After talking for a while, she understands and says that his plan simply failed and that it is not like he abandoned her. She adds that from now on, he should guide her himself. He agrees. She smiles while looking at him. Afterward, they return to the guild. Senga asks if they finally made up. She replies that she finally realized it was not a scam. Hearing that, Sword is shocked. Then someone suddenly hits him. It is the guild receptionist, who grabs Indra and says that she was forced to say that by the self-proclaimed big shot. She tells Indra to stay away from that good-for-nothing guy